Hello my friends and welcome. It's time to answer your questions. So don't hesitate to write the question just under this video in the comment section below, and in next video, the Q&A video of course, I will answer your question. If you don't know me, my name is Dennis and I'm Boeing 737 captain. Let's go.
Pam pam.
The more likes the question has, the more chances it will have to appear in another video, my friends. So don't hesitate, press the like button to the question you like in the comment section just below. And let's start from the first question from Rocket League Daniel. Do you prefer to fly at sunrise or sunset and over the countryside or the city? Well, if you mean that if I like to fly directly at the sun during the sunrise or sunset, I don't like this. I don't like to see the sun in front of my eyes. Well, on Boeing 737 we have the special sun shades. We also may use the sunglasses, but in that case they are not helping much because yes, lots of sun rays in the cockpit, it's not good. You might not see some details of the instrument panel. You don't really need that during your cruise flight, but sometimes it's better to have the sun somewhere else, not in front of you, especially during the landing. So sunrise, do I like to fly? Yeah, I like the sun. If it's on the side, I like to see the sunrise, the sunset. Actually, it's the most beautiful thing that you can watch in the nature, actually the sunrise and sunset. We usually sleep during this time, but then you fly over the clouds, you see the sunrise or sunset. It's beautiful, my friends. And do I like to fly over the countryside? Well, we fly at such a high flight levels that we don't really pay attention to what is below. You can see the mountains, you can see rivers, but if you fly over the city, well, I have the video now. It will be posted maybe next month about the flight over the Istanbul city. So we were approaching through the Istanbul from the older Atatürk airport to new Istanbul airport, and we actually flown over the city at a low altitude. So it was quite interesting to see the environment, the buildings and the roads. So yeah, I liked it. Next question from Javi747. How much does the pilot career cost? Maybe pilot training. And my friend, it depends on the country you live in. So there are many local regulations. It depends how many hours do you need to accumulate for your private pilot license, commercial pilot license, and your frozen ATPL, of course. For frozen ATPL, you don't really need that flying hours, you need the theory. For commercial pilot license, you need flying hours, and flying hours will take most of your money because you need to pay for instructor, pay for the airplane or source, of course, you need to pay for the fuel, so that takes lots of money. And it depends on the country, as I said, and the highest mark probably I heard about was $120,000 somewhere in Netherlands or something, or maybe in Canada. Here it's quite cheap. In Ukraine it's up to $40,000, comparable to those prices. And of course in Europe it's around $40,000. Depends also on your flight school, and also depends on your progress, whether you need to have the additional flying hours or not. So depends really on your particular situation, but that's of course lots of money for you to spend to get yourself into this aviation world from the pilot perspective. So that is why many pilots started their career not just paying money and becoming pilots. They start their career from flight attendants, from engineers. If you know mentor pilot, he started his career not from actually being a pilot. He started his career from being the firefighter in the airport. So there's different ways to achieve this goal, my friends. But if you want this goal, if you want it hard, you will achieve it. The next one we have from Abdullah. Then to engage and disengage the autothrottle. Well, during your pre-flight preparation, you engage it on MCP, and you fly the airplane. You can fly it manually. The autothrottle computer will select two different modes, depends on your engine's EEC, depends on the temperature. You'll have the N1 parameters. And in my particular airline, you may fly manually until reaching 10,000 feet, and during descent, after passing 10,000, you may also disengage the autopilot. And if you want to disengage the autopilot during descent, you also need to disengage the autothrottle. And that's how you do it during approach. You disengage the autothrottle, you disengage the autopilot, and you land your airplane. If it is the auto land, you don't need to disengage the autothrottle. It will disengage automatically after 2 seconds after the ground sensors will sense that the airplane is on the ground. So basically during the auto land, you disengage the autopilot, and that's it. The autothrottle will disengage automatically. I hope I answered your question. Next one from Richie D. Which is the best flight school to study and why? Depends on what you want. Whether you want to fly glass cockpit airline, it's better of course to start from the glass cockpit, or you want to try to fly the steam gauge airplane. As I'm now the flight instructor in a local air school, so we have steam gauge airplane, and I would suggest to maybe start from this kind of thing, very simple thing, but of course the glass cockpit is state-of-art, new technology, so you may start also from that aircraft. So it depends, also depends on the price. The more sophisticated the aircraft you will have during your training, the more you need to pay as usual. So you need to choose your flight school, and also read reviews about the flight school. You may find it on Google or maybe other aviation forums. You may read about the particular school, about the particular instructors. Here I cannot answer it to you, my friend. I'm here in Ukraine. We have different realities. In your country you have also different realities. So I don't know what you want, my friend. I don't know. From my experience, the government sponsored flight schools are the best. That's what I can say, because after the government support you usually have the lower price for your training. That's all. That's as usual, my friends, but it's not the rule. All right, the next from Bibo VFX. Most beautiful and ugliest passenger plane. I don't remember the ugly planes, my friend. They all good. Well, you may consider airplanes like Piaggio 180 or the new Celera 500L. They're at the same time they're ugly and they're beautiful. So that's what I think. I think they're ugly and beautiful at the same time. If you want to ask me what is the most beautiful airplane, passenger airplane, I think it's Concorde or Tupolev 144. They look very similar. And I also like Tupolev 154. I think they're the most beautiful airplanes of all. But if we are speaking about the Tupolev, it's beautiful, but it's not as safe as conventional aircraft like Boeing 737 or Airbus. One more question from Goldie on PC. How difficult it is to fly a plane? It's difficult if you put yourself, if you don't have experience, if you put yourself in the situation that you need to land the airplane, the commercial airliner, it will be difficult for you. But if you trained from the very beginning, from your flight school, step by step, till the commander of the Boeing 737 or 777 or any other commercial airplane, it's easy for you. I go and fly. It's very routine, I would say, job. Yes, sometimes you face the different environment, different weather. It may be tricky sometimes, and then you realize why you paid for. But in 99.9% of the case, it's a routine, regular job. So it's not very difficult. And the next one from Lohi Karhu. Do you know the Blancolario channel? He's a 777 first officer and does a lot of accident discussions. Yes, I know this channel. Thank you for advising me. I just started to watch it recently, a few months ago, and I like it. Why not? And I really like this guy, and I don't know whether he's a first officer. I thought he's a captain on Boeing 777. From what I heard, his medical certificate was temporarily suspended. Now he got it back on, and he's flying again. It's a very good sign to see that airlines still hire those guys who had some kind of medical problems even during this hard time for aviation industry. So I'm really happy about him back on flying the 777. But pardon me, I think he is a captain on 777. About his analysis videos, I think they're quite good, but what he does, he announces what is in Herald website. I highly recommended you before, and I would highly recommend it to visit for you again. It's the Aviation Herald website. They took all information about the incidents, accidents, crashes from from every airplane around the world and put in one service. So we may see the investigation results, preliminary investigation results, what is the weather was during the incident, particular accident, and many more. So I would highly recommend you, if you heard about some incident or accident, don't look for mass media. Visit this Herald website. They gather only proved information as usual. So I really like his analysis, but what YouTube does with this kind of videos, it just demonetizes it and it moves it to bad content, let's say, not good content. So I think it's not good for the channel to speak about it loudly. I would also like to speak about the accidents, but I don't want to do it on my channel, my friends. Maybe I'm thinking now about the other service other than YouTube to speak about those accidents, alright? So on YouTube, I will not do it, my friends, at least for now. So I like the Blancolario channel.
Pam pam.
Alright, now we have some questions from Drew Jane, the Uke Boy Music. That's the nickname. So the first one, why did older planes took less time stop than today's modern planes? I do not agree with that. I fly quite modern plane, Boeing 737NG, and you may select different levels of deceleration. So you may select auto brake 1 and you stop very slowly. If you have long runway and you need to vacate quite far away, you may select auto brake 1 or auto brake 2. If you select auto brake 3, you'll stop in a very fast manner. If you select the auto brake maximum, you'll stop very, very fast. So depends also on the runway conditions. So sometimes the reverse is more effective than the brakes. So I do not agree that modern airplanes stop with less deceleration compared to old planes. In older planes, they use steel brakes. Now, for all Boeing 737s we have in our fleet, we use carbon brakes. So I think they're just more efficient compared to steel brakes and last, of course, longer. His second question, what is the difference between the T-tail design and the normal design, I think, of the empennage? So we have two designs. The classical one where you have the stabilizer near to the fuselage, and the other design, the T-type design of the empennage, where the horizontal stabilizer lies on the top of the vertical stabilizer. Well, in that second design, you have the larger shoulder, let's say, from the central gravity point and here, and you can more easily control the airplane pitch over the lateral axis. So you may build this stabilizer and the elevator smaller to be able to control this airplane in the same way with a much larger stabilizer and elevator as if on the classical scheme. Well, it depends on the airplane aerodynamics, of course, but the main difference is like that. So if you want to use the smaller surface, you may do this kind of. But from the other hand, you need to reinforce the vertical stabilizer for it to be handled not only its loads, but also the horizontal stabilizer loads. So they play with it. And the reason many people don't like this T-type design, because it can easily go to super stall conditions, like on Tupolev 154 and many other airplanes. I used to fly the ATR with the T-type design, and it may also turn into the super stall condition because of that. So the vertical stabilizer may be shadowed with the wings, and that is why we had the pusher, the stick pusher. On Boeing 737 with classical stabilizer, we have just a stick shaker. On ATR we had the pusher, so you don't need to push your control column down, it will be pushed automatically if the angle of attack is very high. And his third question, what is the difference between tail-mounted engines and engines on a wing? Under the wing, I think. Well, depends, of course, on the aircraft, and you cannot put the engines under the wings, let's say on Embraer, on a small Embraer 145, for example, or on Gulfstream. They're small, there's no space for the engines under the wings, so they put them back. There are pluses and minuses of this design, so I need to film the separate video about these things, my friend, to explain you every feature. And now let's go to the other question. And next one from Mike Gong. How did you keep yourself motivated during training? I want to be a pilot too, but my parents don't like my decision. Yes, sometimes you face, it's not only with the pilot professions, but with many other professions. So sometimes if your parents have their, let's say, business, or they work for someone, they want you follow their steps. Sometimes it may happen, especially in Asian countries. I watched these situations many times. But it's your life, my friend. Yes, they give you the life before they roll you up, but it's your life after all. So you're a human being. It's up to you to decide. I would recommend to have the calm conversation with your parents. Don't argue with them. So maybe at first step it's better to follow their lines. It depends on what is your age. So you may follow their steps at first, and later on you may say it's not mine, I changed my decision. But do not have the conflict with them. Because after all, they're your parents, so try to calm it down. Try to show that you have your own way, my friend. But do not just shut the door and go, no, I'll go, it's my life. No, just do it in a calm way. Try to speak with them little by little. So you may say, oh, I'm okay with it. I like flying simulators. I want to try to fly the airplane at least once, please. I just want to try it. And then put it just a little drop by drop. And then finally you will convince them that it's your dream to be a pilot or something else. So that's how it works. If we speak about motivation, well, I was really motivated because I'm actually from the aviation family. So my family understood what I want to do, that I want to fly the airplane. I was always living near to the airports. So aviation was my passion from my childhood, and everyone understood that I will be connected to the aviation world. So then I was a child, I didn't understand that I want to become a pilot, but I really liked the aviation. First I decided maybe I want to build the airplanes, but after all I became a pilot after I tried piloting the glider. So I convinced myself, yes, it's mine, I want to fly the planes. So you need to find your way of motivation, and that's what actually I do on my channel. I'm trying to motivate young people and not young people to get connected to the aviation, because aviation is a huge world. It's not only about the piloting the airplanes. It's very huge world. It's like an ocean, and you may find your place there. Everyone actually can find a place there. And yeah, it's nice. Aviation is good. Again, Rocket League Daniel, do you check Instagram direct messages often? No, I usually just post pictures on Instagram, and I rarely go to messages there because I don't really have time to answer you on Instagram. Here are your comments. I'm answering to you right now, and I read on all of your comments on YouTube. So there are many of you, my friends, now more than 17,000 subscribers, 17,000 friends on my channel. So thank you a lot for your support, but it's getting harder to answer to all of you. So I read all of your comments, and please, if you have something to add, to say, write in the comment section below to this video, to other video, and I will read it. Whether I'll be able to answer it, I'll try, my friends. I'll try my best. The next question from Tommy Neat. What are you ever scared of flying? Actually, about the flying, I was never scared of flying itself, but you may face different situation where you are not scared, but you have the fear. and that fear will bring you to some kind of level of anxiety, and that is actually good. To be fearless means you can take the wrong decisions. You may not fear of different environmental hazards or risks, and you may perform in the wrong way. So to be fearless means bad. To have some level of fear and to have some level of anxiety is actually good for your daily job. I had some situations when I was flying, bad weather, some malfunctions of the aircraft, but I kept myself in the middle of anxiety. Middle level of anxiety means, yes, I fear about the situation, I have some fear, but I know how to get out. I do not concentrate on one thing. I try to concentrate on different things, okay? I try to analyze the problem and solve the situation. If you let your fear to attack your mind, to occupy your brain, it will turn it to the reptile brain. I have the video on my channel. It's about why do you fear to fly the airplanes. I'll put the link to this video description so you may check it out. And you have several layers of your thinking, and if you put yourself in the high level of anxiety, you turn your brain into the old-fashioned reptile brain, and you will concentrate just on one thing. It's called the tunnel vision, and you will not solve any problem. So it's very kind of dangerous situation that if you keep your fear at the high level or level of anxiety at high level, but it's also dangerous then you keep it on a very low level. So it's better to be in the middle, of course. It's better to expect the situation may deteriorate at some point. But yeah, I already explained it to you, my friend.
Pam pam.
The next question from Taisaful Islam. Sir, are you both a pilot and flight instructor? Flight instructor is also a pilot, it's better to say, as usual. So you cannot be the flight instructor and not being a pilot. I used to be the type rating instructor on ATR, and now I'm a flight instructor, so I don't have the rating right now, but I will be, I hope, this year I'll be the flight instructor on general aviation airplanes. Now I'm a captain on Boeing 737, and I will be, I hope, the flight instructor on general aviation single piston airplanes. And I'll start from the Takeoff. So who knows, maybe in the future I'll be the flight instructor on Boeing 737, the type rating instructor. Nobody knows, but it's better to have some career perspective for the future, of course. The next one from Mateusz Adamovich. Have you ever been to Wrocław or in Poland? I was in Poland many times because we fly there. We fly to Warsaw, we fly to Kraków, but I have never been to Wrocław. Maybe I will be. And by the way, we also have the motorcycle club that I'm in. I have the hobby to ride the motorcycles, and a couple of years ago we went to Kraków. Kraków is in Poland, and actually we took our bikes from Kiev right through the Lviv to Kraków, and it was fantastic trip, but we took the highway. So the main highway, you see the road, the fences, and really nothing more. So we went just to see the city itself, the Kraków. But I want to see the Poland from different perspectives. So I want to travel it through the country roads where you cannot ride very fast, but you might see different, small houses, different, different things, nature and different people, of course, because on the highway you just ride, nothing to see really. So I would like to visit the Poland again. But now the borders are closed for the tourist visits, unfortunately. I hope they will be open this year. And we have two questions from Mahu Gaming. The first one, are general aviation planes harder to fly than a Boeing 737? They're not, my friend. So that is why you start your pilot training from the easier and you bring yourself to the more sophisticated airplanes. So you start flying from general aviation airplanes, small single engine piston airplane, and you go step by step to more sophisticated airplane like Airbus 320 or Boeing 737. So the more systems you'll have on board, the more sophisticated the airplane is to operate. But from one perspective, the general aviation airplanes may be harder to operate than the Boeing 737. Because most of the single piston airplanes, they do not have the autopilot. So if you have the long range flight on a small plane, you may have some fatigue, and of course it's hard to fly all the time manually. Then you just press the autopilot on Boeing 737 and you just control the airplane systems throughout your flying. So at one point they are harder compared to Boeing 737. And his second question, did you ever take off an overweight 737? No, I haven't took off on that overweight airplane so far, but I was really close to the maximum takeoff weight. It was a flight from Kiev Boryspil to Dubai, and it's 5 hours flight, and we had passengers, lots of passengers on board, full airplane, and also cargo on board, and the fuel tanks were, you need to have lots of fuel for the flight. So I was 100 kilograms lower than maximum takeoff weight for that airplane. No specials for that, no special actions, so we just calculate our takeoff distance as usual, takeoff speeds, etc., and we just took off. One thing you need to concern about is the maximum takeoff weight of Boeing 737 is not the same with the landing weight. So if something happens, then you take off, you need to consider the actions, whether you need to burn the fuel, because there is no fuel dumping on Boeing 737, so we need to burn the fuel to land, to reduce your landing weight, or you need to land overweight. Depends on the situation, depends on the failure you'll have. On takeoff briefing, as usual, you announce that, so it's your special. You have the weight that is higher than the maximum landing weight. So if something goes wrong, we decide to burn the fuel or to land overweight. Depends on the failure, of course. And let's move to the next one. A question from BeachBoy0910. Have you ever flown the Antonov 28? Indeed, I flown this aircraft, and was a long time ago. Then I was the student in National Aviation University, so we had some negotiations with Antonov Airlines. They invested some money for our training, and yes, I was going through my training for commercial pilot license, but later on Antonov Airlines, they just changed their mind and they stopped our program. So I changed later on for Kirovgrad State Flight Academy, and I invested for my commercial pilot training myself. And I used to fly the Antonov 26 then. I liked Antonov 28. It's very capable aircraft. I mean, it's a very powerful aircraft. So 2 turboprop engines. Each engine is capable to produce 1000 horsepower and was designed to replace the Antonov 2, as far as I remember, but it's mainly used for the skydiving and for transportation in remote areas like in Africa or in Siberia. So I really like this airplane. I think it's one of the best airplanes I have flown. I mean, the power is superb. It's a wonderful airplane to fly. The next question from username / do you have any thoughts on Malaysian Airlines Flight 370? Yes, I have my own thoughts on that topic, and this question was asked on a previous questions and answers video. You might already heard the answer. My idea, if you look at this airplane, I mean Boeing 777, it will look like a huge machine, huge, big airplane, the biggest twin-engine airplane in the world. But if you compare the size of this even huge airplane with the Earth's size, it will be a really tiny one, and most of the Earth's surface is covered with oceans. So yes, you may easily lost even this big object in the ocean very easily. I wondered why they couldn't find the ELT signal, but if they were not able to find this airplane according to ELT signal, and ELT signal has a limited time for sending its signal. Probably will never find this aircraft, but hopefully someday we'll find this aircraft. There were the cases then many of the old airplanes were lost in Atlantic Ocean, but later on people managed to find those airplanes on the ocean floor. So maybe we'll see the same situation with this airplane. So far we don't know.
Pam pam.
The next one from Mehdi PVN. Can you explain what is bypass spin? Yeah, I can briefly tell you about it. So ground personnel uses this bypass spin to bypass the hydraulic pressure for nose wheel steering. So they insert it to the nose gear. There is a special place for it. And this bypass spin deactivates the hydraulic system for nose wheel steering. And it is used before the pushback, and after that the ground personnel, they remove this pin, and this thing actually activates the steering of their nose wheel. So they remove it and they show it to you that the bypass pin was successfully removed. And after that you can operate with your nose wheel steering. And also we are doing precautions in my airline. We also deactivate the hydraulic system A that is used for the nose wheel steering, for normal nose wheel steering on Boeing 737NG. So before the push, we deactivate the hydraulic system A. And after that, after the pushback completed, we select the hydraulic pumps, engine-driven pumps and electrical hydraulic-driven pumps on. So that's the safety feature. I have some problems with my voice because of the long talking, long filming of this video. Sorry about it, my friends. If you have the long gap, if you don't talk too much and then you talk a lot, sometimes you have some problems with the voice, so don't pay attention on that. Lewis Priestley asked me, after 737, what would your next aircraft goal be? And have you ever thought of flying cargo? I'm okay with Boeing 737. I would like maybe to fly the Airbus 350, but it's not my career goal. My career goal is just to keep my job. I know that I can keep it. The chances for me to keep my job flying the 737 are much higher than in case I would fly, for example, Boeing 777 or Airbus 350, because the long-haul flights are now mostly cancelled or limited. The short-haul or middle-range flights are still flying quite, not as good as before, but quite okay compared to the long-haul flights. So I'm quite okay with my Boeing 737. I would like to try also the Airbus 320, because I like the idea of the side stick, believe me or not. I like yoke, but also I like the side stick. Probably I'm the only Boeing pilot who likes the side stick. So I think the Airbus is more modern compared to Boeing. It has more, I would say, pleasant cockpit for a pilot, more comfortable. And I think the procedures are nice. I used to fly the ATR 72, and inside the cockpit it's very similar to Airbus. So all the systems, these push buttons and all these switches, and many automatic systems. And it also has the protection envelope. So it's the fourth generation of airplanes. Boeing 737 still, even MAX is still the third generation. If you take Embraer 190, 195, they're already fourth generation of the airplane. So I'd like to try to fly the fly-by-wire airplane. I've never tried it. I tried the Airbus 320 and 330 on the flight simulators during some assessments. I'll tell you maybe later on in next videos about the assessments. So I really like this airplane to fly, but I also like the 737, and for now I will stay on Boeing 737 because it secures my flight career, probably. So it's a good airplane to type rated on. What about flying cargo plane? Well, I had the experience flying Antonov 26. It's the cargo airplane, and we used to fly from Ataturk to Athens every night. And I would say, as for pilot, it's less stressful flying cargo airplane compared to passenger airplane, because the more people you have on board, the more potential problems you have on your flight. So passengers may got sick, they may be unruly, and they also may complain. And that all affects the flight operation. Even though we are closed in a cockpit, the situation in a cabin compartment is very important for us. So we may descend, divert if some passenger may feel unwell, and yes, this thing affects the entire flight. For cargo transportation, your cargo just stay there, stand still. Well, the other case, if you carry some pets or maybe animals, that's the other story. But in general, if you fly cargo for cargo airplane, for cargo airline, it's very easy for you to operate. You have just a loading manager, you have your crew, and you fly very, very easy. The bad thing flying for cargo airlines that all of the cargo flights, well, most of the cargo flights, 90%, perform during the night time. So I'd like to fly during the day, not the night time. We have a very long question here from Sagittarius. In the old Pan Am days, the pilots were like film stars. Then the crisis is over. It will be exciting to see if and how the status of pilots will change. It will certainly be fewer pilots available, but also fewer flights to perform. Is there any analysis predicting this outcome? How you say the status of the pilots? Man, the romantic part, well, we have some romantic part of this job. If you wear these epaulets, in some parts of the world, people will look at you, oh, the pilot. But in Western countries, as far as I was speaking to my Western guys in America, they treat you like a bus driver or any kind of driver, or maybe the ocean container ship captain or something like that. So nothing really special about this job. It's just a job. But your bus or your ship is just more sophisticated, and for people it's hard to understand how this big thing can fly, and that creates some kind of mysterious, I would say, stereotypes about this job actually. But I think that the pilot job is as good as many other jobs. It has its pros, it has its cons, but I like it. It's my life, and I like flying airplanes. That's what I do. So I don't think the status of the pilots will change in the future. So people still want to be pilots. There will be many more pilots available on the market, at least for a few years. So, and yes, my friend, you're right. Before it was something luxurious. I mean, the air transportation, because there were fewer flights. Now we have many flights and low-cost airlines, in particular, that bring the aviation to the new level, to just transportation level, just the transport. So you have the outcomes. It's a regular job, but I like this job, my friend. Again, quite a long question, this time from Huge-chan Heike. I have heard some funny stuff about the air circulation system on airplane and don't know if it's true. If one pilot feeling unwell, the smell will stay in the cockpit for a very long time. And then the pilot will blame the passengers because of the air was sucking from the cabin. Have you experienced that before? Actually, inside the cockpit, we may feel the smell from the forward galley. I don't know why, but all the air, it collects to the mixed manifold, and then part of the air distributed. Yes, firstly, it will go through the left part to the cockpit. And yes, we may smell what they cook on the forward galley. I mean, the flight attendants, they warm up the food, and yes, we can smell this smell. And yes, if you fart inside the cockpit, yes, you may able to smell it as well as a normal closed environment. Their recirculation fans are quite powerful, but they are not powerful enough to suck out this air immediately from your lower part of the seat. So yeah, we may smell this. I don't know why, but we smell the forward part of the galley where they cook the meals and where warm up the meals and where the toilet is. But this toilet, I mean, in the forward part, is not often used. It's used mainly by business class or by crew themselves. So that is why we don't smell the smell quite often. A question from Liam Dennis. I'm also Dennis. Nice to meet you. Who do you support in Ukrainian football league? I love Karpaty Lviv. I don't watch football. I'm not a football guy. I don't have time for that. I don't have TV. I don't have anything. I just search what I need. And what I need is mostly all about the aviation. I'm not interested in any gaming or football. So it's not for me, my friends. It just takes my time. Well, my father, he loves football and hockey and basketball, but I'm not into the sports. So I search what I need for my job, for my YouTube channel, and I don't have other hobbies. Maybe motorcycling, that's all.
Pam pam.
A question from Brian Chon. What happens if both engines fail just after V1? What should you do? Pray, my friend, just pray. Okay, if you have dual engine failure just after V1, maybe the runway lengths will be enough for you to stop the airplane. Well, at least you may try to stop it first, and there's also maybe stop way available for your stopping, but other than that you don't have any choices because you are not able to climb to take off with no engine power. So the one option is for you is to brake. On some airplanes you have emergency brake, as on ATR 72 or 42. Just use it, brake, use the speed brakes wherever, if they still work without engine power, depends on your airplane. So that's what you should do. Stop your airplane because there is no any option, and pray that there will be no any obstacles. Sometimes you have V1 speed, but if you reject the takeoff, you'll still have enough space for stopping. Depends on your particular runway in particular airport. The next one from Benny Thomas. Is it possible to perform a barrel roll on Boeing 777-300 extended range? Why did you put the exact modification? I don't know, but I can tell you that probably you can, if you may perform the barrel roll if you somehow switch off the envelope protection. I'm not the Boeing 777 pilot, but I know that this airplane is fly-by-wire airplane and it has the envelope protection. It means that it will not allow you to put the high bank angles, high pitch, and so on. So it's a pilot-proof protection for you not to perform the aerobatics on this airplane. And if you somehow, I don't know how you can switch this system off on Boeing 777. If you switch the system off, of course, you can perform the barrel roll. I think this aircraft has enough rigidity. It's a very robust airplane, and of course, it may perform the barrel roll. There is the video of Boeing 707 performing the barrel roll. Very interesting one. The next question from Captain Crazy Gaming 0. I have a question that always confused me. Why do pilots recycle their flight directors? Well, if you perform the precision approach, you need these flight directors. That's your guidance. The cross that you see on primary flight display, it will guide you to the decision altitude, and you don't need to recycle. But if you have the MDH or MDA, so minimum descent altitude, it's your non-precision approach. It may be visual approach, or maybe localizer approach, or maybe NDB approach. So after passing the minimum descent altitude, you don't need this guidance, so it will distract you. That is why you switch the flight directors off and turn them on back again, but they will disappear from your primary flight display, but you turn them on, so you recycle them. You turn them on, they'll disappear, but they will appear in case of go around. So then you press toga, they switched on, so you have them and they will guide you for your go-around profile. The next one from HDGIC1. Do you prefer flight night or day? Day. Simple question, simple answer. Here we have the next one from Simon Courtney. Actually, he has two questions. What does the N1 mean? N1 is the RPM. We have the indication on our instrument panel. Just in front of the pilots, you'll see the N1 indication. It's the main indication, and it shows the RPM of the fan, because the modern planes fly with the equipped with the turbofan engines. So if you look at the engine, you see a huge fan with the blades. So the RPM of this thing actually shows in percentage, and it's called N1. So we have two rotors, N1 rotor and high pressure N2 rotor. So N1 and 2 indication you have for your flying, and primary, of course, it's N1, your throttle. And his second question, what does, let's say, I have information Quebec mean? Well, even before the engine start, you need to listen to ATIS, Automatic Thermal Information Service. And you need to tune the special frequency on your VHF station. You listen to the airport information together with the weather information, and this information is coded to the letter, and you need to confirm this letter with air traffic control, usually with the ground that operates your taxi. So it will sound like this: your call sign, so your international stand, Delta 5, request engine start, or push back an engine start, formation Charlie, let's say, or as you say, Quebec. And air traffic controller understands that you have all this information about the runway in use, about some restrictions for taxiing, about the weather information, that you have everything on board. You are familiar with this information. And also just before descent, you also need to listen to this ATIS information. It may be the different frequency. They may be split for ATIS departure and ATIS arrival, depends on the airport, or it may be one frequency for departure and arrival. Also depends on the airport. So you listen to this information, and during descent you confirm the information. I have information Quebec with your approach sector. So then you are approaching the airport, you call to air traffic control that I have information Quebec on board. So they understand that you have all this data with you. The next question is in Russian, so sorry my friend, I ask you to translate it into English because I don't have now the opportunity to read and translate it into English in live, and we are worldwide channel, so we speak English as the most global language. So ask your question again under this video, but this time in English. I'm talking to Bush Slovak. So my friend, write your question in English, please. I already asked you to do that. Otherwise, it will not appear here. Next one. How different are windshield wipers in a 737 from the windshield wipers in an automobile? I think in an automobile, they have less resource compared to airplane with windshield wipers, and airplane windshield wipers are very plain because you don't have any curvature on your windshield, so it's very flat surface, and that's why the wipers are very flat, as on very old automobiles. Because on modern automobiles you have curved windshield, so the wipers themselves are a little bit curved. And of course, I think I'm not sure that the airplane wipers last longer compared to automobile wipers. From what I can see, we have a couple of simple questions here. First is Arabic nickname. I cannot read Arabic, sorry. How old are you? I'm 33. And the next from Sharjil Chaundhari. Sorry, I may spell your nickname incorrectly. Hi, can passenger land an airplane probably? No, without any background. So if you are simulator, pilot, you fly a simulator at home and you know how to perform the automatic landing on Boeing 737, in that case, probably you will be able to land the Boeing 737, but you need to choose the proper runway for it. So, for example, in Bristol, the only one runway is certified for automatic approach and landing. So it depends where you land. In some airports, you don't have the ILS system, so you need to land manually. Depends on the situation.
Pam pam.
Sahan Malik asks me, who is your favorite captain? Quite a strange question. So, you mean famous captains like Sullenberger, or maybe YouTube captains like Mentor, or I don't know, other YouTubers? I don't have favorites, so who's your favorite captain? Kind of, I cannot answer this question. I don't have favorite captains. They just perform their duties and that's all. They fly. Interesting question, but I don't know what to say about it. The next one from Sammy. What do you think about ATTOL Airbus project and the real applicability on aircrafts that we have in the future and today, like Boeing 737 and Airbus 320? ATTOL means automatic taxi, takeoff and landing. So yeah, why not? Why not to taxi on autopilot? Why not to take off and landing? So we can land using autopilot. Now Airbus, as far as I heard, they're still testing their ATTOL on their Airbus 350s. So I'm okay with it, but we'll still need two pilots to be in a cockpit. Believe me, for nearby, I think 40 or 50 years there will be two pilots flying, and for this century we will not see fully automated commercial airplanes. Believe me, pilot jobs will still be available. A question from Green Lizard Balls, interesting nickname. Do you play any other video games besides Flight Simulator? By any chance, are you a fan of Stalker series? Yes, I used to play Stalker a few years ago. Then it was new game, but now I don't have any. I don't have any games on my personal computer besides Flight Simulator, as you say, because I don't have time to play the games. I'm not a gamer, but I would like to play games maybe sometimes, but I need to install the game. I need, to play it, so I need to spend my precious time. And time is not renewable resource, and it's the most precious resource ever. So I would not like to spend it for gaming. Alex Polak asks me a question. Would we see Antonov 148 in service? Actually, it is in service, my friend. Here in government airline Ukraine, we have one or two airplanes flying. As for Russian Federation, I don't know when they stop the flying of Antonov 148, because we have quite not so good relationships with the Russian Federation. So I don't know about the spare parts that were made in Antonov factory. I don't know whether they can have them, whether they can replace them, and whether they fly this type of airplane. I don't know, but we have Antonov's 148s. I think two airplanes flying here in Kiev. Question, and it's again Lohe Karhu. Dennis, you mentioned about the close lightning strike. Do you remember the sound? I was in a headset and it was quite a loud plane, so I hadn't heard any sound. It wasn't really close, like few meters. It was maybe dozens or 100 meters away, but for me it was very, very close. I wasn't scared, but yeah, quite interesting case. The next question from Frogs Got Talent. Interesting, Nick. If an airliner have to crash landing, the cockpit pilots were destroyed. Can passengers open the emergency hatches without cabin crew, unlocking them if they too were incapacitated? Thank you, Mike. Mike, you have a very bad scenario for the flight. But well, if we admit the case, you may always open the door. So your entry door is also the emergency door. So you have many of the doors which are emergency doors in the airplane. If you open the regular emergency card that you have in the front pocket, that's in the front of you, you'll see the emergency exit, and you can easily open them yourself. So you don't need the flight attendant really. Even on sophisticated airplanes, the instruction is written on the door. So you may read the instruction and open the door. If you sit on the Boeing 737 in particular, there are handles for the front doors and for the aft doors. So you just rotate and pull the door, open it like usual, for the service doors and for the entry doors. And in the middle, you have the hatches, as you say, like emergency escape hatches. You need to pull it and throw it to the wing. I mean the door itself, the hatch itself. But don't do it during your regular flights. Do it only in case of emergency evacuation. The next one from John McCain. Am I the only one to see comments disappearing here? I do not delete the comments, my friend. Unless they are insulting someone, me or other people, okay? If they use bad words, vulgar words, I will try my best to delete the comment and ban the user from my channel. If I hear or read the critics for my site, if it's written in good language, I'll never delete the comment, alright? So basically we just need to stay humans here and behave like humans, to treat other people like we want to be treated ourselves. And by the way, my friends, I don't like this YouTube platform, because if, for example, if we speak about the sensible content like Boeing 737 MAX, even though we are not speaking about the cases, I mean the crashes themselves, the video will be 100% demonetized by the algorithms, YouTube algorithms. It will go to inappropriate content and so on, so on, so on. So maybe you may suggest me what other social media I may use for these sensible discussions with you. So I need to speak. I want to speak for several topics, but I don't know where I can speak, my friends. Maybe Telegram. I don't like Facebook as well because of the same issues. So tell me, my friends, what other social media should I use to discuss with you the other sensible topics. Thank you very much for watching this particular video. Thank you for your questions. Again, if you want to ask me something, please ask in a comment section below to this video. Here is video number, I would say to you, number 5. So have your answer in next video. That will be Q&A, pilot Q&A number 6. Stay tuned, my friends, and always, as always, follow the awesome guide checklist. So first you need just to like this video, then subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, whatever it means. Thank you very much for watching this video and have a great time.
Pam pam.